യമുനതീരവനചാരീം തീരവനചാരി ജയ രാധ മാധവ ജയ കുഞ്ചവിഹാരി. ഹരേ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ ഹരേ രാമ 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 ഹരേ ഹരേ.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
ഹരേ ഹരേ. ജയ നിത്യലീല പ്രവിഷ്ട ഓം വിഷ്ണുപാദ പരമഹംസ പരിവ്രജാചാര്യ അഷ്ടോത്തര ശത ശ്രീമദ് ഈസ് ഡിവൈൻ ഗ്രേസ് ശ്രീല എ.സി. ഭക്തിവേദാന്ത സ്വാമി ശ്രീല പ്രഭുപാദ് കി അനന്ത കോടി വൈഷ്ണവ വൃന്ദ കി ജയ്. ശ്രീ ശ്രീ രാധാ ശരത് ബിഹാരി കി ജയ്. ജഗന്നാഥ് ബലദേവ് സുഭദ്ര മഹാറാണി കി ജയ്. ഗോര നിത്യായ് കി ജയ്. Gora Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. You have the words, Prabhuji? 3:15:26. So it's Canto 3, chapter 15, verse 26. Tad Vishwaguru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam
Vishwaguru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam
Divyam Vijitra Vibhudagra Vimana Shojihi
Divyam Vichitra Vibhudagra
Apuha Param Mudam Apurvam Ubetya Yogam
Apuparam Purvam Upetya Yoga
Maya Balena Munayastadadho Vaikuntham
Balena Munayastarato Vigundham
Tadvishya Guru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam
Vishwaguru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam
Divyam Vijitra Vibhudagra Vimana Shojihi
Divyam Vichitra Vimana Shojihi
Apuha Param Mudam Apurvam Ubetya Yogam
Apuparam Purvam Upetya Yoga
Maya Balena Munayastadadho Vigundham Tadvishwa Guru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam Divyam Vijitra Vibhudagra Vimana Shojihi Apuha Param Mudam Apurvam Ubetya Yogam Maya Balena Munayastadadho Vigundham. Devotees. Advishya Guru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam Divyam Vijitra Vibhudagra Vimana Shojihi Apuha Param Amudam Apurvam Ubetya Yogam Maya balena muniyastadado vigundham.
Tadishvaguru adikritam bhuvanaika bandhyam.
Tadvishwa Guru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam.
Yam vichitra vibhubra, excuse me, vibhudagraya vimana sochi.
Divyam Vijitra Vibhudagya Vimana Shojihi.
Apu param budamapurvam upetya yoga.
Apuha Param Umdam Apurvam Ubetya Yogam.
Maya balena munayastarato vikuntam.
Maya Balena Munayastadadho Vigundham. Ladies? Tadvishwa Guru Adhikritam Bhuvanaiga Vandyam. Divyam Vijitra Vibhudagra Vimana Shojihi. Apuha Param Mudam Apurvam Ubetya Yogam. Maya Balena Muniyastadado Vigundham. Synonyms. Tad, then. Vishwaguru, by the teacher of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adhikritam, predominated. Bhuvana, of the planets. Eka, alone. Mandyam, worthy to be worshipped. Divyam, spiritual. Vichitra, highly decorated. Vibhuda Agriya, of the devotees who are the best of the learned. Vimana, of the airplanes. Sochihi, illuminated. Apuhu, attained. Param, the highest. Mudam, happiness. Apurvam, unprecedented. Ubetya, having attained. Yogamaya, by spiritual potency. Balena, by the influence. Muniyaha, the sages. Tad, Vaigundha, Atho, that. Vigundham, Vishnu. So, translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus, the great sages Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara, upon reaching the above-mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world, by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second. He is above everyone. No one is equal to him, nor is anyone greater than him. Therefore, he is described here as Vishwaguru. He is the prime living entity of the entire material and spiritual creation and is Bhuvanaiga Vandyam, the only worshipable personality in the three worlds. The airplanes in the spiritual sky are self-illuminated and are piloted by great devotees of the Lord. In other words, in the Vaikuntha planets, there is no scarcity of the things which are available in the material world. They are available but are more valuable because they are spiritual and therefore eternal and blissful. The sages felt an unprecedented happiness because Vaikuntha was not predominated by an ordinary man. The Vaikuntha planets are predominated by expansions of Krishna, who are differently named as Madhusudana, Madhava, Narayana, Pradyumna, etc. These transcendental planets are worshipable because the personality of Godhead personally rules them. It is said here that the sages reached the transcendental spiritual sky by dint of their mystic power. That is the perfection of the yoga system. The breathing exercises and disciplines to keep health in proper order are not the ultimate goal of yoga perfection. The yoga system is, as generally understood, is Ashtanga Yoga or Siddhi, eightfold perfection in yoga. By dint of perfection in yoga, one can become lighter than the lightest and heavier than the heaviest. One can go wherever he likes and can achieve opulences as he likes. There are 8 such perfections. The rishis, the 4 Kumaras, reached Vaikuntha by becoming lighter than the lightest and thus passing over the space of the material world. Modern mechanical space vehicles are unsuccessful because they cannot go to the highest regions of the material creation. And they are certainly And they certainly cannot enter the spiritual sky. But by perfection of the yoga system, one not only can travel through material space, but can surpass material space and enter the spiritual sky. We learned this fact also from an incident concerning Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. It is understood that in 1 year, Durvasa Muni traveled everywhere, went into the spiritual sky to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. By present standards, scientists calculate that if one could travel at the speed of light, it would take 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of this material world. But the yoga system can carry one without limitation or difficulty. The word Yogamaya is used in this verse. Yogamaya balena vigundham. The transcendental happiness exhibited in the spiritual world and all other spiritual manifestations there are made possible by the influence of Yogamaya, the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhuji, backpack. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalagaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Swapadandigam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yudapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunadan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadhudam Parijana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindh Dinabandho Jagatpade Govesha Gopiga Kanda Radha Kanda Namostudi Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Ushabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Hari Om. So thank you, Drona Prabhu and temple management for giving me this privilege of being able to speak a few words here in the temple of these amazing words, explaining the, thank you, Prabhu. How the 4 Kumaras went to the spiritual world. Prabhupada doesn't miss an opportunity to, Srila Prabhupada doesn't miss an opportunity to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He starts off with the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's one without a second. He is above everyone. No one is equal to him, and no one is greater than him. Therefore, he is Vishwaguru. We all know that when Lord Brahma's time is over, everything is dissolved. The only person remaining is baby Krishna sucking his toe, floating on a banyan leaf in that casual ocean. That is the only thing remaining. No Brahma, nobody, no living entities. Then when the next Brahma comes, that's when the whole thing starts manifesting again. So that is why Lord Brahma himself in Brahma Samhita says, what is the first words of Brahma Samhita? Ishvara Parama Krishna. Parama Sach Chit Ananda Vigraha. Anadir Adir. Sarva Karana Karanam. So he is the cause of all causes, original cause. So that supreme position of the Lord Krishna is establishing. Prabhupada, you see throughout his writings, every chance he gets, he doesn't miss an opportunity to emphasize this point. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Now, there are a lot of deshis here. So, what was your understanding of Krishna before you ever came to ISKCON? Shiva, Subramanya, Karthik, right? So, Ganapati, Ganesh, Krishna, Rama. Did you know any difference? So, until Srila Prabhupada gave us the mercy of making sure that this is the major problem with retail Hinduism as practiced in India and elsewhere. They don't know why there is a lot of internet trolls these days about anti-Hinduism feelings. So you ask the question, why there are so many gods? How do you know? Actually, Hinduism is a monotheistic religion. Our Vaishnavism, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. But it is such a simple concept, but it is lost. And only when you come across the mercy of Srila Prabhupada through one of his devout disciples or grand disciples or whatever, then only you understand this simple and most important truth, that it is chairman of the board, the owner, the supreme, the guy who calls the shots. That's Krishna up there. And everybody else works for this corporation. I don't understand, when you think about it, why it is such difficult thing to understand. Even a nursery school or a daycare, there is a principal, somebody in charge. Then there are assistant principals. Any school, any company, even a temple, there is a president, somebody responsible person. Then there are people who help him or her. There are executive vice presidents, somebody in charge of treasury, somebody in charge of finance. As a finance, we all work for companies and we all know why is it so difficult to understand. Every single organization, even in the material world, needs some organization, departments, department heads. So there are crores of so if a simple school in your township, how many people are there other than teachers and students to run the place? City of Philadelphia, how many people are there to run the city of Philadelphia? But there is a mayor, a person on the top in charge, responsible. That doesn't mean there aren't other vice presidents and directors and managers, etc. 2 million employees work for Trump. He runs the country, right? So even any federal employee, he's representing Trump. Similarly, the demigods. So to run this universe, why is it so surprising you need crores of demigods or people in charge? So this is such a basic concept and so easy to understand when you put it in the context of running an organization. But in India especially, there are so many Hindus, there's this massive confusion, Rama, Krishna, Shiva, so they don't understand the difference. But to me, the fact that everything originates from Krishna after the big pralaya, dissolution, that's sufficient to say everything starts from Krishna. He's the boss. The buck stops with him, as they say, right? So, and even in every Srimad Bhagavatam, it opens with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadiyasyedo, the famous verse, the chapter 1, the canto 1, chapter 1, verse 1. So it opens with the glories of Lord Krishna and the supreme position of Lord Krishna. Now, so Prabhupada establishes that in the purport first. Then we talk about airplanes in the spiritual sky. So when the Kumaras went, they saw special devotees flying airplanes which were illuminated, decorated, etc. Not regular airplanes. So even in the material world, does everybody fly airplanes? Only certified pilots fly airplanes. In the spiritual world, these airplanes are flown by special elevated devotees, it is emphasized. So other point Prabhupada makes is, Srila Prabhupada makes is, there is anything you see here, it is there in the spiritual world. Everything we see, it is there in the spiritual world, except it is divine, it is spiritual. The airplanes in the spiritual world are living entities. The stones there are living entities. Everything is spirit there. There is no material elements, fire, air, earth, water, the Panchabhutas. It's not, that's not what a spiritual world is made of. So the next point Srila Prabhupada makes in his purport is, the sages felt an unprecedented happiness because Vaikuntha was not predominated by an ordinary man. The Vaikuntha planets are predominated by expansions of Krishna, Madhusudana, Madhava, Narayana. It is his world, it is his home. He manifests in whatever way he pleases and in so many different ways. The transcendent planets are worshipped because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the one ruling them. We hear about Ramarajya, right? When Lord Rama was ruling, people were in ecstasy. A good ruler makes the citizens, the praja, in total happiness. If it is a divine person, you feel bliss, not just happiness. You can feel how this ecstasy influenced by the atmosphere. You go to a bar, you go to Atlantic City, walk into a casino. You go to just New York City, just take the subway. You don't have to do anything. Just walk through there and come back. You're like drained, right? Why? Because the tamasic energy, the negative energy, right? Whereas you come to the temple, you get a fantastic darshan, you are able to focus, we pray, and after you go out, you feel, I feel good, right? Anyone has that experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's because we connected with that transcendental bliss. Just like we charged our phone, that when we come here, when we are doing it sincerely, when we are in the zone, we connect with that transcendental bliss and you feel very charged, positively charged. True? But imagine if it is somebody like Lord Krishna. It's like you are in the presence of an ocean of bliss, right? Infinite bliss. So what you get is huge. So this is the point Srila Prabhupada is making. So even who are these four Kumaras? They are millions of years old. They are the Manasaputra of Lord Brahma. They come out first during the creation, and but they stay as little babies because infants, because they don't want to have that consciousness of anything. Once you grow up, then you get into kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, malsarya, all those things. So they avoid that by staying themselves in. So even them, they are in constant bliss. Even they felt special happiness when they entered the Vaikuntha planets. Now, so that's the uniqueness of the Vaikuntha planets. Positivity to the infinity, right? Correct?
Yes.
If you were doing calculus, you seem to relate to that. So that next point Prabhupada makes is the transportation media in the Vaikuntha planets. There are how many ways to get there? So there is this, how did four Kumaras get there? Because there is yoga siddhis. Ashta siddhis are there. What are the Ashta siddhis? Anyone?
They're the 8 different mystical cities, lighter than the
Anima. Anima means the ability to become smaller than the smallest atom. Mahima, the power to expand one's body to infinitely large size. Garima, become extremely heavy or dense. Lakhima, to become weightless like a feather. Then Prapti, you can attain anything you desire. Prakamya, the ability to fulfill any wish or desire. You just have to wish it, it happens. Imagine that. Ishida, the power to control or lordship over natural forces. You can tell mountains to do something. You can tell the clouds to rain. And there are a lot of mentions of munis who have done that in Srimad Bhagavatam and our Puranas. Vashita, ability to control the minds of others and bring them under one's influence. It's like a teenage dream. So you have these ashtasiddhis, and these are things yogis pick up along the way. And they can be huge diversions. We have seen many yogis in India and all who get some of these siddhis and they monetize it, right? They make a business out of it. You can bring, Pasma, there, Then people think this person is God because they don't understand the basic fundamental Atma, Paramatma, and Ashtasiddhis. This is all there in every book that people read. There are people who give Bhagavata Saptahas who don't get it. There are people who make a living talking about Bhagavata who don't understand that Supreme Personality of Godhead difference. Have you seen that? That is the tragedy of the thing. It's like the Wall Street thing. Very simple. You buy a stock low, you sell it high, right? It's such a simple concept, but it's very difficult to practice. That is why only very few people succeed in that gambling game. Similarly, there are simple concepts. When something is simple, people don't think it is valuable. If somebody speaks in words in amazing English with such diction, such vocabulary, there are politicians in India who do this. They are considered high up there because nobody understands. If you say something simple and you understand, oh, this guy, what is the big deal? So this is what Prabhupada fought for 69 years before he came to America, and got on the Jaladuta and all that. But these examples of people who got this Ashtasiddhis, Anima, and there are examples of, Prabhupada mentions here, Durvasa Muni with Maharaj Ambarish. He traveled throughout the world and he went to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He went, we don't want to get into that incident now. But the point is, there are many instances of people, Narada Muni, he wants to be somewhere A versus B, he's there. It's at the speed of mind, not even speed of light. So this is one mode of transportation there. What is another, these Vimanas? There are so many Vimanas. There are detailed examples and pictures described in various Vedic literature of the different Vimanas. Can anyone say even demons had Vimanas? Anyone, any come to your mind? Huh? Ravana. And what was the Vimana called? Pushpaga. Pushpa, and it was originally belonged to Kubera. Ravana stole it from him. Like then Mayadanava built a Vimana for Salva, and he used that to fight Lord Krishna. In Bhagavatham explains that. Kardama Muni, when Devahuti married him, when he realized, oh my God, this young woman, I am not doing my dharma as a husband. He transformed his body into a young man, and he took her in this. He manifested a Vimana, and it flew around. We know that Bhagavatam goes into details of that incident. There are so many examples of this Vimana. So, anima, with that, we can transport oneself becoming lighter than the lightest atom. Vimanas. What is another way people travel in the spiritual world? How does Lord Vishnu travel? BMW? Huh? Garuda, right? So Lord Vishnu his vehicle is Garuda. And how does Lord Shiva travel? Nandi, the bull. Similarly, these gods have their own official vehicles, right? Office vehicles. Correct? So that is the third way that travel happens in the spiritual sky. When Drona Prabhu, end of his life, he remembers Lord Krishna and that soul, how does he get to the spiritual world? Or how does any one of us get to the spiritual world? How did Dhruva Maharaj get to the spiritual world? Plane, right? Somebody sent him a celestial plane. Lord sent him a celestial plane. Can you think of another person who was taken by another human who was taken by a celestial plane? Sant Tukaram. There are many examples. Pundanam in Kerala, there are many such instances. Ajamil. Dhruva's mother, Lord sent them a second plane to take Dhruva's mother, because when Lord Dhruva said, I want to take my mother, the Vishnuduta said, look, your mother, separate limo, right? So the Lord was that considerate because of her piety. When a soul at the end of life, when he or she, that soul is qualified to go to the spiritual world, you break through the Karana ocean. And the material world is how much of the total universe, the whole creation? Quarter. So, Sri Radha Sharad Bihari ki. Ekapad Vibhuti, the material world is only 1/4. Tripad Vibhuti is the spiritual world. 3/4 is the spiritual world. Between the spiritual world and this 1/4 material world is what is called, what is that name of that river?
Viraja.
Huh?
Viraja River.
Virija River. And the Virija River has 7 layers in it. When the soul, when we go to the journey to the spiritual world, the mind, intelligence, etc., all these 7 layers are shed when the soul goes through that river, Virija river. And then only thing that enters the spiritual world, universe, is the soul and the ego. So the ego we have in the material world is called Mithya Ahankar or false ego. When that process happens, cutting through that Virija river, the false ego becomes Satya. Mithya Ahankar becomes Satya Ahankar. That becomes the true ego, which the only purpose of that ego is to serve the Lord and various manifestations of the Lord. So this is 4th way to reach the transportation to the spiritual sky. So we talked about the glories, the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? How he is the one and the supreme. Is not like any of the other, the chairman of the board, CEO, is not the same as executive VPs or senior vice presidents or managers, right? So he's above all of them. So that is an important distinction to know, and it is worth repeating over and over and over again because there is so much confusion about such a simple concept. That's why Srila Prabhupada repeats it every chance he gets. We talked about airplanes in the spiritual sky, how they are illuminated, they are living entities, they are just like everything there is spirit. The uniqueness of the Vaikuntha planets, how you feel transcendental happiness. So, do you know scuba diving?
Just heard on.
Heard only. Can you go, if I go take you and put you under 100 feet below the sea, will you survive? You don't know what to do there, right? You don't have the equipment, you are not properly. So you need to go to a scuba diving school. And the scuba diving school teach you how to survive in that environment, what you need to do, how you need to prepare, all that. Same as skiing, if you haven't skied before. Similarly, when we need to go to the spiritual world, ISKCON Philadelphia is your training school. How you behave there, how you respect other devotees, how you don't stab them in the back, the material propensities we carry ourselves, right? So this is our training school to get to the spiritual world. This is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. He has established this all over the world, and millions of people are benefiting it. And we haven't seen nothing yet. This is going to, just like 50 years after Christ passed away, what was the state of Christianity? It was just a few thousand people, right? It was not all over the world. Similarly, this movement, it's just beginning. So the growing pains is what you are seeing. People, So because it is coming from the Lord himself, it is amazing that it will survive through all kinds of Roman Empire, British Empire, American Empire. All the empires will come and go. But this movement, Srila Prabhupada's, that fire he started through the parampara, because of the potency connection to the original generator, which is Lord Krishna, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's where the source is. So this will continue in spite of ourselves. We are not qualified to carry, we are not qualified. What qualification does Jainayar have to even speak about these things? If you know the true thoughts going through my mind, you will run away from me. So, we are not qualified, but by the mercy of Guru and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are able to speak something that makes some sense. I think I should stop here. And any questions? We have time for questions.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask Prabhuji, like this is our training ground to the temples. So Prabhuji, how to develop our consciousness that we maintain this consciousness even we are when outside dealing with the material world. We have the same consciousness of the temple, even dealing with outside. How to maintain that consciousness?
Okay, so the question is how to the temple consciousness outside the temple. That's a good question. I am no expert in this, but I know by having failed at this many times, I can tell you my experience. Not from with a few successes and 98%, 99% failures and 1% success. So the first thing is to be able to maintain it inside the temple. That's very hard. Trust me, I am from IIT Kanpur like you are. I landed in 1980 in Boston, and when I was going to the university, the first person I meet is Jnana Prabhu. He said, "Do you want a free feast?" And I was a young man like you, and free feast was, a dream come true. Then Boston 72 Commonwealth Avenue took me in, and that feast blew my mind. Ever since I was hooked. This was 46 years ago. So, and so getting that prasadam, eating, and so they said this process is eating prasadam, chanting, and so I only heard eating prasadam. I didn't hear anything else. So that was my hook. As a bachelor who didn't know how to cook and all that, living in Boston and being a 20-year-old, I could eat up the whole Sunday feast. So that was my mode of introduction to these Prabhupada teachings. And I didn't believe in the chanting for a long time. So it took a while to get me because my sins were so much that chanting, every time you do a sincere chanting, you're washing away. Just like when you exercise, you are shedding the fat in your body. When you do the chanting, you are washing that Chedo Darpana Marjanam, you're washing that sins away. Every round, every time we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and you can keep the lotus feet of Sri Radha Sharad Bihari in your mind. If you can do that, we are washing away our sins, our karma. This is the only way to get rid of our karma. Knowingly, unknowingly, human beings, which we are, commit sins. And it accumulates. So just the fact of having to come to contact with a devotee requires some amount of punya. So to wash away this sincere chanting is the cleansing method by which we are able to chant, wash away our sins. That gives us so you know the different stages of our bhakti process. Shraddha, you develop love, you go through the different stages. So just like I want to make muscles, I go to the gym one day, then 5 days I don't go. Will it work? Right? You have to do this regularly, consistently, on a daily basis, right? So this is the reason, same as these spiritual muscles or the sin muscles or the consciousness muscles, in order to do this, train it against our normal default setting, we need to train the muscles in a different way. And that's hard. That needs years of practice because we didn't get here overnight. Correct? We had years of wrong thinking, years of bad karma, years of offending devotees, years of stabbing people in the back, years of saying bad things about other devotees. Does anyone here have done any of this? Guilty as stated. So this is why we become, if we think of a pot or think of this glass, I take a safety pin and I prick here. Will this water stay? So every time we are blaspheming a real devotee, what are we doing? Huh? Every time we blaspheme somebody, what are we doing? We are taking a pin, putting in the reservoir of our consciousness. So we are losing that spiritual potential. We are chanting again, and sometimes we get some lucky days, we get some good rounds, right? Anyone has that experience? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Right? So if we can get that good, then we are pouring in more. But why are we not advancing? Because we are pricking and this is leaking. Make sense? Just like charging a battery. If you are shorting it, the charge is going to go. Did I answer your question? Uji, you had a question? Oh, okay, sorry. So,
I just want to online. We have 14 people here online. I just want to see if any of them have any questions or comments. Anybody have?
I don't see any hands up. Just a realization. It's sobering to hear what you have said. Something that we should remember and try harder to fill that reservoir up and take out less. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you for your blessings, Shobhe Mataji, Shobhe Radhema.
I like the reflecting on the point you made. I thought it was a very good point about how unqualified we are. If we're standing here on our own merit, we it's somewhat of a joke. And when you look at these other sages that reached mystic perfection, or reached perfection, went to the Vaikuntha planets, had darshan of the Lord, they perfected their mystic city, which that's not, I mean, just being real, it's not going to happen to us. Not in Philadelphia, not in the United States, not in Kali Yuga. However, this process of the Sankirtan movement, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srila Prabhupada, and sincere devotees, we've won the lottery. We've gotten this opportunity to gain access to these higher places, not because of something, that we've practiced for thousands and thousands of lifetimes and undergone all these intense austerities. And this is why we can be thankful. This is why we can be grateful, because this has come upon us. And how do we share that gratefulness? How do we share that gratitude? And trying to include as many people as we can.
That is. It's like Prabhupada always mentions about.
Right? So the yogis have to sit in a certain position, do these exercises every single day. They have to, so this year we had the good fortune to go to Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj. And we met amazing people, the Naga sages. These guys are barely 25, 30 pounds in body weight. And they go through, some of them are said to be 150 years old. Somebody did DNA testing on some of them. They come down only during Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj. And we had the good fortune to go, see somebody so close. And it was amazing, the flexibility of that body. And that body looked so young. Obviously he had done it for many, many decades. This extreme tapasya, such torture to the body, but that body becomes a whole different thing. I don't have the picture here, but I could have shown you his picture and video. And you just look at his eyes, the yogic, the potency. You can't look at his eyes too long. It is that intense look. And when we went to Kedarnath, up in the mountains, there was these guys with totally naked, barely a loincloth. And it is ice, and it's windy, and it's snowing. And these guys are just sitting there. And that control over the body. So to get these 8 siddhis we talked about, you have to go through such mental and physical and torture. But just like, have you seen the elevator in big buildings, the high-speed elevator? You get a coupon, and there are commercial places like Niagara Falls where you go down the Maid of the Mist. How many people have done that? You know what I'm talking about? You have a high-speed elevator that goes to the bottom of the mountain. You could theoretically climb that mountain, but it will take you hours and days maybe. But you have this elevator, high-speed elevator, that takes you in a few minutes. But you have to purchase that ticket. Srila Prabhupada gave us these tickets to circumvent, short-circuit all these processes, so you can easily get to that spiritual world. That's what we have. But we are so unfortunate, we are squandering that. We can't give we can't spend 1 hour chanting concentratedly. We can't stop blaming that devotee whom we don't like. We can't, so we commit these aparadhas. And we are squandering that special, how many lifetimes we have come through to get to this human life. You remember when you were a cockroach? No? Me neither. So we were going through different life forms, millions of different life forms. We get a human body. And among how many humans are here? 8 billion humans, right? How many people know about ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual world and all this stuff?
Very few.
So that is what it says. Manshyanam sahasreshu kaschidabhisita. There are thousands. And so it's like a pyramid system. So there are so many people, so few know about Krishna. Once, so few. How many people, as I said, there are hundreds of people in different languages in India who do Bhagavad Katha for a living. This is all they do. They are talking. Of course, they get a spiritual benefit from because they are speaking Bhagavatam. But if you ask them, what is the position of Krishna, they won't be able to articulate that CEO, chairman of the board concept. They will say, Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu, and you will hear that. That's what I have heard for until I came to Jnana Prabhu in the streets of Boston, Commonwealth Avenue. So it is such a great fortune to get this coupon for this elevator to go straight. But we don't have the good fortune to make use of it. And we have this facility here free. Right? How much did you pay for the Sunday feast last week? If we were to,
It's free for another month. 2026, we're going to start charging.
it's this literature. People are begging you to take the book. How many of us have books in your home that you haven't opened even? Forget reading, not even opened. Me too. I have a collection. So forget about reading. Then comes understanding. Then comes assimilating. Then comes practicing. Isn't it? The fact that you have a book, you have to first read it. You have to understand it. You have to digest that concept. Then you have to put it into practice. So all these stages one has to go through. But or you can just chant Hare Krishna and sincerely you can still do that without understanding any philosophy. When you go to the hospital, the doctor treats you, fixes you. Do you understand the science behind it, the clinical science, the pharmaceutical science, and all that science? No. You get fixed, right? So even if somebody like Shabari, she didn't know any of this philosophy, she just loved Lord Rama. She knew that was her Lord, and she constantly remembered the Lord. So it is so easy. The process is so easy. We can do it in such, but again, Wall Street is also very simple. Buy a stock when it is low, sell it when it is high. You make money. Very simple. You don't have to go to work if you can do that. But it's so difficult to do. Similarly, this is a simple thing. It is so easy to do, but all we can do is to beg for the mercy of Guru and mercy of Lord Krishna and cry out loud like a baby. And hopefully our Guru and the Vaishnavas will bless us to get it. Right? Should I stop?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, Drona Prabhu, for this opportunity and for saying something. And if I said anything wrong, it's all on me. If I said anything right, it is on my gurus and Shiksha gurus. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.